Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Moving into the Future. Today, we are joined by Lisa Mirabile. You may know Lisa as our podcast co-host and marketing manager at the Advanced Group. But today, we are going to be speaking to Lisa as a small business owner. Lisa did start and runs her own small business. It is a digital marketing company called Vertigo Media. And like many small business owners throughout the pandemic, she's had her share of challenges and has had to navigate through the various stipulations, held through the pandemic, as well as, issues with rearranging and reconfiguring her space, hiring talent, making sure her employees feel safe in the workplace. So we're going to have that discussion today, and we're going to be able to talk to a small business owner directly, about what she's been dealing with and how she's, best navigated it. So Lisa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's been a while, huh?
It really has been a while. I was super excited when you invited me on because it has been so challenging and there's been so many issues. So that's why I kind of went a little dark dealing with just a couple of things, on my plate. But it's been a really interesting time. Although it's had its challenges, I think that we're coming back stronger than we were before. So I'm excited to share that with you.
Yeah, certainly. And I think, that has been the mantra of a lot of different companies. And, that's one good thing about small business owners in general, because it certainly does take a certain attitude, and whether it is the pandemic or other challenges, they're constant for a small business owner. And, that resiliency is certainly a trait that, many small business owners need to have in order to keep going. So, I certainly commend it and admire it. So, what have you been working on? I think one of the things you were doing last was reconfiguring your office space, right?
Yes, that's correct. You brought up a great word, actually, the word resilience. And I have to say, as a small business owner, it was extremely challenging. Challenging? Why does that sound weird? It was extremely challenging this period. But you really, you look inward, right? Who else do you have to really go to?
Right,
You really
exactly.
don't have too many people to go to, for answers. So you just start to almost surprise yourself, right? You're looking for answers. The CDC guidelines were a lot of confusion in them.
Right.
How do you keep your employees safe? And, Vertigo has always been a very collaborative atmosphere, right? Our team is extremely powerful. I rely on them a lot. We produce a ton of content every single day. It is a nonstop. We don't take lunch.
Right.
You can't. You have to move. And in the digital space where everyone was sort of, going, oh no, we're out of business. We need to move digital. What are we doing? We had found ourselves in an area where, of uncertainty. Okay, we have to shut down, but we don't have to shut down. We need to help our clients. We're working from home. I mean, for us, we've always had that flexible work office hours. So if you needed to work from home, you could work from home. So we were pretty much set up anyway so that if you needed to go home, you could go home, and I just want your work done so you can continue from work. So we were set up with the VPN and everything else. So that part was seamless. But now that we're returning to office, there's so many more challenges that I'm facing. Like you mentioned reconfiguration, okay, so I had to talk to everyone, right? Whether it was email or phone call or having, one-on-one meetings, which we are doing and we've started to do, and asking them, what is your level of comfort?
Right.
What do you feel? So we're a 3,000 square foot office on Long Island. That's a fairly decent size,
yeah.
Right? We have 8 offices for 16 people, so that's another nice thing. But we took one of the offices. We used to have a play area. We have the kitchen space. These are spaces now that I've looked at. How can I maybe take a part of the kitchen space and use it for our studio space?
Right.
And this way I can take the studio space and make that an office. And, we had an area where there were 6 people. We're keeping 1 person in that space. We're using the studio space and the fun space as 2 additional offices. And then I'm taking 2 other people and moving them sort of to the back. And then you have the challenge of, okay, so now we're going to reconfigure your office. It's another expense, right?
Exactly.
So your small business, you were kind of left in the dark. We weren't, let's say, digital marketing was not a
top priority.
a top priority for the government for us to stay open.
Right.
So we were down in the shutdown.
Right.
So now we're coming back and we have more expenses than ever.
Exactly.
Right? I have to also look at how we're doing business. So now that the offices are being reconfigured, all right, how is that for you? Well, we don't quite want to be socially distanced. We need to be more than socially distanced because people are
privacy.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then privacy. Then it's cleaning.
Right.
Right? Now you're in your space. Am I bringing in a company every single day to really do this chemical cleaning?
Which is another expense.
Which is another huge expense.
Right.
So we decided, no, we're not going to do that. What we've decided on doing is we bought very great products, right? We bought really good products. We bought a lot of gloves. We always have masks available for our workers. We've hung up protocols. We've set our protocols just listening to our employees, and we've written them out. We've emailed them, but we also have them hanging up. We have arrows directing traffic, where to go. Come in one way, go out the other way. So we're directing traffic so that there isn't crossover
Right.
or, people meeting each other in the hallway. And then we've decided to leave it up to the employee to clean their desk daily if they want to.
Right.
We were kind of old-fashioned in one way, too, in the fact that, we used old ticketing systems.
Mm-hmm.
It was just another task for us to do in our busy day, and we just never got there. We never got to the digital ticketing space.
Yeah.
So, and it worked,
Right.
So, and I have a bookkeeper full-time, so it's great. So the time, keep clocking people's time and tracking the time in order to bill it isn't really an issue because they're reporting daily to our bookkeeper and handing in their timesheets on a daily basis. And, well, now we've no one wants to touch these job tickets. Right?
Exactly.
Now it was with you and then it's with me. What am I going to constantly keep, it's bad enough we touch keypads when we
Exactly.
go to different things. I try
Yep.
to use my elbows, my nose sometimes.
I know.
What else can I use? I don't know. I don't want to touch anything. Right? So it's funny how many things you can actually do.
I know. You find how efficient you are, right?
Right, I got it. Right. So, we had to buy new software. Check. Cha-ching.
Exactly.
Another.
Exactly.
Cha-ching.
Yep.
How many licenses do we need, right?
Right.
All that.
Right.
And then even, when it comes to holding meetings, Zoom's good and it works, but is it the best solution? And so, we decided we moved to Teams. And then, okay, now everyone's learning Teams and we're doing all sorts of, different learning. So that's a little bit of downtime. But I think, just listening to your employees and coming up with a solution, obviously leaders lead, right?
Right.
And it's up to them to really implement, our policies and to follow them and follow protocol. But it's for us to make sure that those protocols are in place. So writing them, learning about them, and then how do we make everyone comfortable? It's just a lot.
It is.
It's just a lot.
It is. And like you said, just to kind of reiterate that, making sure your employee voices are heard, while still leading and making sure it's reasonable for a, functional and productive workspace is quite a challenge. And it's quite a fine line too. Because you are in a collaborative industry where, multimedia, digital media, you were talking about it before, it's constant, it is constantly posting. And, the more engagement is based off of content. Exactly. So you really need to be putting it out there as often as possible, and especially, another interesting conundrum you're in is the fact that you are a small business owner, but you also work with a lot of small businesses who, have certain demands. And, like you were saying, they've kind of fallen into this digital world too now in the last year because, so many people are working remotely or, just in-person communication is decreasing essentially. And it has. So, putting together new marketing strategies that are based on, multi-digital media are so important. And to have, again, that conundrum of, influx of work because obviously it's a need,
Yeah.
while also managing your own business to making sure that this influx can be properly managed so your clients stay happy
right.
is such a challenge, and unique specifically to you and to us too in some regard. But how are you managing that influx while still, keeping employees comfortable and safe and productive,
Right. So there's a lot of things. One is I'm working a lot more than I ever was. I don't think I've worked this hard, probably. I don't know, maybe since my first years in business. I
Wow.
almost feel like,
And just for reference, how long have you had your business?
18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 18 years. So we've gone through traditional, right, from traditional into multimedia, web development to SEO and digital marketing, really on the forefront of that, into social media, which then came out, and then being, involved in that, and then really taking the video that we knew from traditional and moving it into social.
Right.
And now it's just constant content. And, you bring up a lot of actual good points. So one, I'm working harder than I ever have, right? So I have to run my business and really be a leader and run the business and still have the foresight as to what the new technologies are, how to implement them, what team in my office, right? What teams in my office are going to use these new technologies? How are they going to use the new technologies? Who's studying that, right?
Who's going to be that lead, right?
And
Yeah.
keeping on top of that game, right? Because it changes
Right.
all the time.
Exactly.
And then I have, customers and my clients that, I work so closely with because we're a boutique style agency. We are really partners, right? Like,
Exactly.
I mean, look how close we work
100%.
together. Where, nearly
People think you work for the advanced
group,
Yeah.
right? And it's true. That's very important to me to keep those relationships going. And a lot of people don't want that one-on-one contact. So when you're talking about, selling and in 126 characters or, 223,
Yeah. Yeah.
it does really become a conundrum because in order to get that message on, what used to take, right, when I first started, it was 7 times to get that message out for people to change behavior. Then it moved to 11 times when digital media first came out. Do you know how many times right now they're saying it takes for you to put out one piece of content, one solid message in order for people to change their behavior?
Like 25 or something like that?
23 times.
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
very close.
yeah.
23
I mean, because
times.
I see it,
Because it's, email.
It's an onslaught. It's an onslaught. And like, that's
the
like
email,
nature.
It's the banner. It's
Right,
it's
right.
the text message. It's,
Constant.
it's the social media, right?
And
So now I'm creating 23, and that's just one message if you only have
Right.
one product. But
Right.
like the advanced group has 5 different companies.
Exactly. Yeah.
All coming together. So 23 times 5 times 5, a day.
Right.
times 5 days a week.
Right. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So having those team members in place that are strong, I really struggle as a small business owner with keeping good people.
Of course.
And then through the pandemic, the other thing we saw that just like blew my mind, like just when you were getting back to work and you thought like, okay, this is great. We're back to work. I'm putting these efficiencies in place. Now I'm dealt with no one wants to come back to work.
Yep.
What?
I know. Or they all want to work remote. Like,
Well, they all want to,
yeah.
everyone, right? So because we are so collaborative, I mean, come on. How am I going to have the time to constantly now send you emails and telling you what the changes are and what's happening and blah, 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 23 times a day? We just talked about this, right?
Yeah.
2 people that are home. Now you're asking me to do another job. Or now I have to hire another employee
Right,
so
exactly.
that becomes their
Exactly.
job, right? And pay another salary so
Yep.
that those people can stay home. So you want me to hire another employee
Mm-hmm.
so that they can communicate to the people at home. Well, needless to say, it's especially in the digital marketing area where so many people can work from home, it's a struggle because we're competing not only with working remotely, but remotely means now that they can work for anyone.
Right. Like
anywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Right?
And like
So-
specifically New York City.
New York City, yeah.
Where you get a New York City salary.
Right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
we face.
Yeah.
Right. And I even have one person that's working, for someone in Texas. And it's like,
Yep.
oh, okay. Good luck.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm glad
What
you
are you
worked
to
with
do?
me for 7
Right,
years.
exactly.
And, we've had a great relationship.
Exactly.
But, I have to say, that's one side of it. And then you talk about the resilience, right? And being a business owner, it's like, hey, you know what? There's an opportunity now for me too, because there is a whole talent pool of people that used to
Huge,
commute
exactly.
into the city that don't want to commute into the
Exactly.
city. So
Good
now,
point.
so I've been able to kind of, so to speak, up my game in my employees, where now I have that quality worker. Everyone says New York City workers, they know, like so much because it's just, New York City is the top of the line. Right?
Oh, yeah,
That's
of course.
like standard,
Right.
gold standard is
Right.
New York City, right? So now I have New York City employees that are working for me, which is so nice, like little old, Vertigo
right.
has
That's right.
people, just doing top-notch jobs. So I'm really excited about where we are. And in order to keep everyone safe, we've also begun to mandate timing.
Right.
So everyone's in at a certain time. Everyone takes their lunch at a certain time. Everyone's out by a certain time. This way, time management is much easier. I don't have to look for Jack and say, Jack's at lunch. Oh, shit, we can't have it.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we can't have that meeting. We can't have that
If
meeting.
anyone was going to be the first person to swear on the podcast, I'm glad it's the marketing manager who's thought of the whole thing.
That's right. Oh, sugar. Where's Jack? Right? We can't have that meeting because Jack's out to lunch. Okay, great. Jack's back. Okay, everyone. Sandy's out to lunch
Yeah.
now. So we've really, managed our time much better because, like you said, we have all these clients and I'm running a business. So it's about the time management skills. Onboarding that software, allowing everyone to really be trackable and accountable for their time, for their jobs is of the utmost importance to me.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what everyone's doing while we're apart.
Right, right. And I think too, it's funny, we actually talked about this a long time ago about how we're creatures of habit. Mm-hmm. And, we fall into these habits. So we've fallen into this work from home habit. And quite frankly, I don't like it at all. Like, I find myself just lacking. I mean, I'm still productive. I get my job done just fine. But when I'm in the office, I'm far more focused, far more collaborative. It's, the things that happen on accident in the office that you forget about because we didn't do it for, it's almost, 2 years now. It's crazy, like how you just start talking and then you find out, oh, you know that person too? Oh, let's go out to lunch with them. Let's talk business with them. Just stuff that you would never, ever be able to do digitally or working remotely. And it's just the spontaneous collaboration that happens at the office that I think people miss it, but they don't know they miss it. Because they haven't done it in so long. It's like
I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you go on when you go to you do something for the first time in a long time, you go, on vacation and you're like, man, I forget how nice it is to be on the beach. It's obviously a little different, but it's that type of feeling where you haven't done it in so long and then you do it again and you realize, oh, I like this. So then, we're going to go back and get back into this habit of being back in the office and collaborating. Right. And obviously, again, too, it's the unknown part of it. Obviously, everybody's been so full of fear, and rightfully so in many cases. But it's getting over that hump again of okay, I can get back to the office. I'm not getting sick. I'm not getting other people sick. Right. And it's okay. But to kind of just take it back a second, how have you been promoting collaboration through all of this with the challenges at hand?
So being in the creative field, collaboration is very important,
Key.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, sitting in my office by myself, I'm not going to come up with the best jingles.
Right.
We still do jingles.
Right.
We still do slogans. We still, TV commercials. We're writing scripts constantly, and those scripts are not just OTT commercials, but they're, social media ads and things like that. So to keep the collaboration going, obviously, we were using collaborative, software where we could.
Did you use Slack?
We did use Slack, and then I found like, oh gosh, I'm using Slack, and now I'm going onto Teams, and then I'm reading my email, and now I'm getting text messages, and I'm like, where the heck am I going? So we kind of got rid of Slack, and we do still, we use Teams a lot, right? And we schedule the meetings, and they're recorded, and so you can go back and listen.
That's nice.
But right now, being in the office, I can tell you don't expect, right? Like, I'm a writer. I have a designer that comes into my office, and we sit down and we talk about, the aesthetics of the next thing that she's working on. And all of a sudden, the account exec walks in my door to hand us something, and she hears what we're talking about. She's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And you're like,
exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah, you forgot who the target audience was. And it's like, oh my God. Like, we got so caught up in what the creative was and in what we were saying, that we've got who we were talking to. And, just little accidents like that, just
could never,
that
exactly. Happy accidents. It's a good way to put it.
Happy accidents, that happen that you wouldn't expect to happen. But we tried to remain collaborative using technology, and technology has really been, our friend.
So in 2022, it's basically for you, it already is.
Yeah. It has been.
But as you kind of see the new year coming, how do you see it working for you? And let's keep it to like a best case scenario. Do you think by like springtime, March, you're going to have employees who are, back maybe 75% of the time in the office 3 to 4 days a week, or do you think you're going to be more project based? Like, how do you see it, working best for Vertigo Media?
So interesting question, because it's going to be a combination of everything that you talked about. So what I have done is the 2 or 3 people that don't feel comfortable coming back, I'm allowing them to stay at home and work from home because their jobs aren't necessarily collaborative, right? One's a programmer, web programmer. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead. You didn't like to talk to people anyway.
I was just going to say that. Those people from before this, when I was at Indeed, like all the engineers there, they we built out these beautiful spaces for them, like gorgeous spaces, and like floor to ceiling windows. They would turn all the lights off, keep the windows drawn so it's completely dark, and they're in their cubicle, and they got their headphones on, and they don't like talking to anybody. So those people don't like working with people to begin with. So great for them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the
God
other
bless you. God bless you.
Does a lot of the digital placement. So we do all the and then the other person is the SEO person, right? So again, another programmer, right? Programming, just in a different way. One's doing, software program, the other one's doing, SEO programming, and so they're remaining home. And then with competing with New York, because now it's a level playing field, right? We can now, I think we have more opportunity than ever before. To go after larger clients because it's an even playing field now as far as talent as I'm concerned. So we are doing project by project. So whereas I used to have 2 web designers on staff, I now have 4 designers at my disposal working on different projects at any given time. Plus I have 1 full-time in-office program web designer, for those in-between quick needs things that we have. But I've been able to have even more talent than I had before by just breaking it up through projects.
Do you see growth next year?
Oh my gosh, I see tremendous growth.
Nice.
I'm super excited. I am really excited. We've done so many great things. Like you said, we had the challenges, and resilience is definitely key. You just rise above it and you're like, I see an opportunity here. Okay, I see an opportunity there. It's so easy to get so downtrodden and depressed about the whole thing. You got to shake it off, and you got to really, become a student of your craft and just dig in And I think we're in such a great place. I can't even tell you how excited I am about where we are going.
Amen.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
It's really good. It's
Yeah,
really
that's good
stuff.
to hear. So, what we'll do is we'll definitely check back in
All
the
right.
new year. And I'm so glad that you were able to come on and we were able to catch up. And at the end of the day, it was good news. There's a lot of good things to look forward to. Here's to hoping, a lot of this is behind us. And we're moving forward from here and moving into the future.
There you go. Moving into the future. I love it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And we'll look forward to the next episode and talk soon.